From Father Ivano, from this beautiful afternoon. This is the vigil of the solemnity of the most blessed Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I will proclaim the Gospel. This Gospel is taken from the Gospel according to Matthew, and it is the very end of the Gospel. These are the very last verses of the Gospel of Matthew. The 11 disciples set out for Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had arranged to meet them. When they saw him, they fell down before him, though some hesitated. Jesus came up and spoke to them. He said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe all the commands I gave you. And know that I am with you always, yes, to the end of time." The Gospel of the Lord. Two things I want to say which are very important for us. These, as I was saying, are the last verses of the Gospel of Matthew. It's the last meeting, so to speak, before the end of time. It's the last moment that Christ, risen, meets with the Church. Until the end of time, until he comes back. And this meeting happens in Galilee and on the mountain. Why? Because Galilee and this mountain, they are not just a geographical place. Matthew is not giving a topographic zoom. Galilee is not just a geographical region in the Palestine. Galilee is the place where the Church, where these men have received their first love from God. In Galilee, Christ called Peter and Andrew, James and John. In Galilee, for the first time, they heard his voice. They've been loved by him. They've been called by him. In Galilee, they saw the multiplication of the loaves. They saw the healing of the sick. They saw the paralytic walking, the blind seeing, the dead rise from the dead. They saw God in their history. Galilee means history. My history, your history. Christ, the appointment that Christ wants to give to you and to me, is first of all an appointment that says, remember. Remember that I love you. Remember that my eyes are set on you. Remember that I have the power to heal you, to renew you, to give you new sight, new joy, to recreate you. This is Galilee. Galilee is the sum of all the great events of God in my life. And here, that is the last meeting, Christ wants us to remember my love for you. Remember where you come from. Remember that you have a history, and in that history I entered. And I made of you fishermen, new people. I made of your empty nets full fish. I I made of your boat that was sinking in the storm a salvation. I made of your empty hampers with 2 bread and 5 fish an abundance of food. I made of you the church. That is, I made of you my presence, my people. And the other place is the mountain, and the mountain associated with Galilee is not just a random mountain. The fact that there is no name to this mountain, but it is preceded by the word Galilee, it means that clearly for those who were listening to the gospel, this mountain is the mountain of, we call it, of the Beatitudes. It is the place where Jesus Christ taught with authority. It's the place where Christ sat as a teacher, as a rabbi, and spoke with a new authority when he said, "You have heard, but I say this to you." Is the place of the second Sinai, the second covenant, the last covenant. The covenant when God said, "You can live heaven. You can live my spirit. You can love your enemies. You can forgive 70 times 7. You can become salt. You can become light. You can become leaven for the world." These places, Galilee and the mountain, are the places where heaven and earth met. Are the places where the power of heaven entered history. Are the places where the spirit of heaven somehow landed. And this is why here he says, "Therefore, go." That is, from this history and from this capacity to live heaven on earth, there is a huge therefore. That is, these events, these actions of God, this capacity to live the new law, the law of heaven, is like a huge pregnancy. Is the pregnancy of earth that is pregnant with heaven. And therefore, a new child. And this child is the church. Always in mission, always announcing, always teaching, always baptizing, always with you, says Christ. The church is us. It's you and me. We are the children of this pregnancy, of the earth pregnant with heaven. And therefore, we carry this mission, we carry this urge, we carry this strength to announce that heaven is always with earth. I am always with you. That is, heaven and earth are not any longer separated. You can live as if you are in heaven. Very good. See you next Sunday.